You stay back there. Do you want to come up? You can come up if you want. It's okay. Be careful. Did you have fun? That was a little more than 10 minutes. But you got to sleep, probably. Yeah, you're a good boy. I missed you. Alright, heading home. You're going back? Alright. We gotta try closing the trunk first. So which is it? Front seat or back seat? You gotta choose. You want front seat? Come on. Come on. It's okay. You can come up. You can come up in the front seat. Come on. Here. Here, sit down. Well, we're going home. Hang on, bud. We're turning again. You gotta hang on. We're gonna stop, and then we're gonna turn right. Ready? Turn right. Yeah, you're looking right. Go back. Yeah, right turn. And then we're gonna make a left turn. You know what a left is? It's that way. That's left. Hang on, bud. We're going. Yeah, we're gonna go slow.
Thank you for the warm welcome and all you do. And lacrosse, let's re-elect someone who has spent her career fighting for the families of Wisconsin, your Senator Tammy Baldwin. We need her in Washington. We need her in Washington. Election day is in if y'all have a chair or a seat, please do sit for anyone who has a chair, okay? So listen, we are nearing the home stretch.
Hang on.
And this
Left
is
turn.
going to be a tight race until the very end. And we got this. And reality check, we are the underdog, okay? And that's why I'm here with you, and you are taking the time to do the hard work that is necessary. It's why I'm campaigning for every vote, because I want and intend to be a president for all Americans. And no matter their political party, where they live, or where they get
We're gonna turn right.
Okay?
Ready? Ready?
And on that point, last night you may have seen I went on Fox News. Dignity, and it is a matter of your ability to participate in the workforce and be productive and have a quality of life. So we're going to change the system so Medicare will cover your ability to have home health care for your elder parents. Between the way we see our country and the world and the way my opponent sees it, is we actually see real people and care about them, and have a sense of understanding about how tough times can be, but how good times can be if we put the work into solving problems instead of trying to run on problems like Donald Trump. And so that's why we will also lower costs of everything from healthcare to groceries, including taking on corporate price gouging, which I've done before and I will do again. And we will give a middle-class tax cut to 100 million Americans, including $6,000 for young parents, parents who are just starting out during the first year of their child's life, knowing the vast majority of our parents have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources to do it. And so this is about helping folks out to be able to buy a car seat and a crib just during that most critical phase of their child's development. This is all about dignity. And this is about understanding. And so I share this to say I will always put the middle class and working families first. It's where and again, we're not going to be gaslighted on this. We remember Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally.
Yeah. That's good on it.
So, but back to the matter at hand. We need a medic here. We need a medic. Right here, and then let's part the way so someone can come through and bring help. Okay? Okay. All right, we're good. So, on the subject of his intention and what he actually did to undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, let's
Watching everyone like a border collie.
what has happened.
What do you think about that?
It is now the case that in America, 1 in 3 women live in a state with a Trump abortion ban. Many of these bans have no exception even for rape or incest. And you react that way because we understand the idea that someone who calls themselves a leader would even make no exceptions for a survivor of a violation to their body, and to tell that survivor they have no right to make a decision about
coming
what
from
happens
somebody
to their
who
body next.
wants to violate
That's immoral.
their bodies.
That's immoral. It's immoral. And I know we all agree one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do. If she chooses, she will talk with her priest. If she chooses, she will talk with her priest or her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government telling her what to do. And it is my pledge to you that when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly sign it into law. To do. So listen, so much is on the line in this election. You all know that. Again, that's why you're here. And this is not 2016 or 2020. The stakes are even higher. Because a few months ago, the United States Supreme Court told the former president he is effectively immune no matter what he does in the White House. Now think about that. Think about that. Just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails, right? He who has vowed if re-elected he will be a dictator on day one. He who has called for the, quote, termination of the Constitution of the United States of America. And let us be very clear. Someone who suggests we should terminate the Constitution of the United States should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. Never again. Never again. And then consider the comments that he made just in the last few days, because he's got more. He said he will target and punish those who disagree with him or refuse to bend to his will. He calls these Americans the enemy within.
He's talking about you too, Jethro, because you like Bernie Sanders.
That he would use the American military to
What do you think about that?
American citizens.
You don't like that? No, that's bullshit.
Journalists whose stories he doesn't like. Nonpartisan election officials who refuse to cheat by finding a few extra votes for him.
A few extra thousand.
Judges who insist on following the law instead of following him. It is for reasons like these that General Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Donald Trump's top general, has called Trump, and I quote, fascist to the core. And it is clear Donald Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged, and will stop at nothing to claim unchecked power for himself. He wants to send the military after American citizens. He wants to prevent women from making decisions about their own body. He wants to threaten fundamental freedoms and rights like the freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, to breathe clean air and drink clean water, and the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. So much is on the line in this election. So much is on the line. And Wisconsin, when it comes down to it, look, we are all here together because we know what is at stake. We are all here together because we love
to take a bath.
country. And I do believe it is the highest form of patriotism to then fight for the ideals of our country and fight, Cisco, you said it, to realize the promise of America.
Hang on.
So, Election Day is in 19 days, and here in Wisconsin, early voting starts next Tuesday, October 22nd. So now is the time to make your plan to vote. And if you have received your ballot, in the mail, please do not wait. Fill it out and return it today. And remember that Wisconsin has same-day voter registration.
Oh, yeah?
So if you are not registered to vote, you can register when you vote, and please do vote early or on election day. Because
vote early, vote often.
Bring an ID. Because the election is here. And listen, I'm telling everybody what you already know what I've been doing. We've got to energize. Let's mobilize. Let's organize. Let's continue in this process also to do what everyone here is doing. Let's build community. Let's build coalitions. Let's remind each other that we are all in this together. Let's remind each other we have so much more in common than what separates us. And let's do all this knowing that our vote is our voice and your voice is your power. Are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight,
engaging with the journalists, so Fox is going to lie to their own people. But part of, and this is sort of ties in with what the last guest was saying too, is that part of what makes it harder for Trump to perpetuate the lie is two things. One, these kernels get into the Fox bubble, and then the second part is that the rest of the mainstream media has to stop enabling the lie that somehow Trump has all of his faculties together. I mean, a sixth of the coverage right now to Trump's age and acuity is what the top 5 papers are giving compared to what they gave to Biden's age in February, for example. So I mean, they're not doing their part either, and in order to get that narrative to shift and draw that contrast, you have to sort of cede this terrain, and you have to sort of then shift the broader narrative, and that's what the interview was designed to do, and it did it.
I mean, I love that you monitor Fox News so that we don't have to. But I think what's so interesting, I just got the ratings, is they're going to try to tell the 7.1 million people.
That's a little bit of phantom braking there. I guess there's cars merging and it's giving them
Brett Baer,
room.
who was, I think, the first person sort of, or not Brett Baer, but Britt Hume has the statue. He's kind of the guy that people go to first. So on Fox's own air, after the interview wraps and before all the disinformation and talking points have circulated, Britt Hume comes out and basically gives her strong marks for how she conducted herself. And I actually think some of the strongest moments of the interview are not the ones, getting sent around. I think it's when it shows that even Brett Baer, someone who's a smart person, whatever you think of his journalism, he's a smart person, is consuming from the tainted supply of disinfo about Kamala Harris. He presumes
No, he is the
disinfo. That you'd have to presume to try to get her to say she hates Trump supporters. She doesn't hate Trump supporters. She's run a campaign from the very beginning where she's only interested in contrasting herself with Donald Trump. She is the most disciplined candidate of the Trump era. There's actually never been anyone who's run against Donald Trump this way, which is why he's like the baby deer on ice. Can't figure out how to get up. And I wonder what you make of sort of the hope that enough truth will get out in these last 19 days, Angela.
I mean, I think the thing to consider is I do think it's awful, and the way I sort of think about Fox, right, is poison. It's radicalization, as evidenced by Brett Baer. Like you said, whatever you think of him, but the poison has got in, it's seeped in, and it's affected his behavior and his worldview. You think he would have learned his lesson by now, but 5 days before the 2016 election, he reported a totally bogus story that Hillary Clinton was about to be indicted based off the reopened FBI investigation. Total bust, right? I mean, he's gone through these periods where he lives in the poison. That's the effect of it, and to unwind it, it isn't going to be an event. There's not one single thing that sort of is de-radicalization. De-radicalization is a process. Dick Cheney didn't wake up one day and just decide that he was going to endorse, Kamala Harris and vote for her. It was a process. So you need these key pieces of information as a string of pearls in that process. So I guess on balance, I live in the right-wing fever swamp, so it's hard for me to be hopeful and optimistic, but I'm realistic. And I know what matters. And these little kernels do make a difference. They really do matter. They're harder for them to sustain the house of lies when you start to chip away at the foundation like that. And that, I think I am hopeful about that part of it.
Well, I guess what I look at is, since this show came on the air, we've tried to say out loud what Republicans would only say privately. And there's never a new story on that front. So today, the breaking news when we came on the air is that Mitch McConnell finds Trump, I want to quote him, a despicable human being, and was essentially elated when he was indicted. Said, if Donald Trump's crimes on January 6th weren't indictable, I don't know what is. Those are McConnell's quotes. So I think one of the pearls that hopefully being strung together is that the Republicans view Trump in the harshest terms of all. J.D. Vance, quote, America's Hitler. No one has said that on this program. I mean, I have showcased some of the world's greatest critics of Donald Trump as a failed businessman and as a twice indicted, many times indicted, twice impeached ex-president. But the harshness with which they talk about him privately and the lies they peddle publicly is one of the biggest scams in American politics.
Absolutely, and you just have to wonder what is in it for them at the end of the day, because so many people at the top of the Republican apparatus can't stand him and yet still see him as a standard bearer for something. And is it really to control the masses so that they can maintain power? I don't know what it is, but I just find it flabbergasting. The other thing that's interesting to me, though, is that you're seeing so many of them kill off. Right, to have so many Republicans stand up now and say, we're not here for the craziness, we want to preserve the spirit of our democracy. We don't have to agree with her or the Democrats all the time, but we know that this is nonsense. I just wonder why that isn't taking hold more among the base. That's the thing that's interesting too, because it doesn't seem that they necessarily have the kind of pull and sway that they, once did as the leadership.
Someone who peeled off early is Mark Cuban. He introduced Vice President Kamala Harris at this event that we've been watching. We're making some adjustments to his audio. Mark, can you hear us?
I sure can, Nicole.
We dipped into your rip-roaring takedown of Donald Trump's tariff malarkey. I think that's the non-technical term. Tell me about and a wild reception for you there. People were very happy to see you. What's your message today?
You know, we talk a lot about tariffs, and we refer to them as a sales tax and the impact on the economy, which they truly have. But what we don't talk about is their impact on small businesses and the actual impact on households. Basically, what I said is if Donald Trump is elected and he institutes 60% across the board Chinese tariffs, then the people who are making decisions next Christmas on what they're going to buy for their kids, what they're going to buy for their families, for presents, they're not going to be able to afford nearly as much, and somebody's going to have to go without. But that's only part one to the problem. Part two to the problem is where they buy in their communities, typically small businesses, small retailers, maybe small online retailers, all those folks, all those small businesses, their cost of goods is going up. And they can't pass those on to consumers, particularly not 60%. And so what happens is consumers stop buying. And when consumers stop buying because they can't afford their Christmas presents during the most important quarter of the year for businesses, then those businesses may go out of business. And to me, that's the piece that people are missing. Tariffs aren't just about the federal, the national economy. It's about individual businesses that put their heart and soul on the line to try to compete and make a living and support their families. And when you put those tariffs in, there's a cascading negative effect. It's just a vicious cycle that kills small business.
You had one of the first reactions that I saw last night after Vice President Harris's interview with Bret Baier. And it was interesting. People were sort of seizing on the Bret Baier of it all, but you seized on the Kamala Harris of it all. And I want you to take us through what you think she accomplished for her campaign last night.
You know, Bret had the opportunity to throw the first punch, right? He was doing the interview, and she took it and hit him right back. I mean, she stood up strong. She was responsive. She didn't call names. She hit him right back. I mean, you know, she was solid. She was measured. She was consistent in her message. You know, there's some questions she didn't want to answer. She didn't answer. She took him to somewhere she wanted to go. And that's great. That's what you do when you have somebody that's just trying to put you down. Stand up, be strong. And I think truly that's who she is as a leader. There's nobody who's going to intimidate her. There's nobody who's going to talk her into a corner. She's going to stand up to anybody, show her strength, show her ability to analyze the circumstances in real time, and like I said, be measured.
You spend a lot of time in what Sarah Longwell calls the manosphere. Just take us through the pitch you're making to men who are sort of disaffected from politics, don't really see themselves as a traditional Democrat or Republican, but think there's something in Donald Trump for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to people who said they like Trump because he's a gangster. Not a gangster, a gangsta. And I'm like, that's why you're going to vote for him? I'm like, look, you know, the real world today, different than 4 years ago, certainly different than 8 years ago, is we're truly addicted to our social media. I mean, I've got 3 kids, 15, 18, and 21, and it's just that scroll. And for guys in particular, you start with football, you go to another sport, you see women, and then all of a sudden, you're seeing something that is aggressive. It could be an Andrew Tate, it could be whoever, and then that leads you to getting content, memes in particular, for Donald Trump. And when you see those memes repeated hundreds and hundreds of times a day, you can't expect them to all of a sudden start reading to find out if it's true, to find out the information is accurate. It's just nonstop repetition, and that influences their decision making. And so the campaign, and we've talked about it, has got to come up and reverse engineer those algorithms and come up with a response.
I mean, one of the purveyors of the algorithms is Donald Trump's biggest financial backer and most high-profile wingman on the campaign trail, and that's Elon Musk. I wince when his posts come up in my feed, but you take them on. Tell me what you understand about Elon Musk that maybe we don't.
I think he's one of the most brilliant entrepreneurs ever. He's an amazing engineer, but he's the world's biggest troll. And trolls, if you just hit them back, they kind of buckle. You know? And so it's easy to mess with him on X/Twitter. But the most interesting thing of his involvement with the Trump campaign, you know, a really qualified CEO ahead of the Republican Party is going to have a control over his ground game. And there was an interview that he did with Ben Shapiro, where Ben Shapiro asked Donald Trump, you know, I've heard positive and negative things about your ground game. Can you go into it? Donald Trump didn't even understand the question. He didn't give him any type of answer at all. And that really is the substance behind why Elon Musk is so involved. If I'm Elon and my candidate doesn't know what the hell they're doing when it comes to running a campaign, doesn't know what ground game even is and how it works, then I might take that on, and I think that's what Elon's done, both financially and operationally.
So what is your, sort of
No, you stay there. You got to stay there.
Combat sort of the algorithm energy? It isn't. I mean, some of it's pro-Trump, a lot of it is anti-Harris. What is your best idea, your best thinking, your theory of the case for the strongest way to close and win in 19 days?
So you have to go where you put Donald Trump in a catch-22 position. Let's talk about deportation. Both the Vice President and Donald Trump agree that criminals that are illegally should be deported. But what he has not said is how he's going to deal with deportation for everybody else. Remember Elian Gonzalez?
Of course.
Remember that image of these cops or militia or whoever they were coming in with machine guns and a 6-year-old kid cowering in the corner? I told them that's what they need to bring up, because that could be a part of Donald Trump's deportation scheme. And they need to talk about what they're going to do. The Harris campaign, I believe, needs to talk about what they're going to do in terms of deportation beyond criminals to put him in a position where, the reality is I think he's going to Elian Gonzalez family after family after family, and that's a problem for him.
I mean, he already has. That's the child separation policy, the subject of a film.
You can lay down if you want.
In movie theaters now.
You want to lay down?
I guess what you're saying is just take it back to we have everything we need in front of us. We have all the rebukes from former military. We have the rebukes from real people who live in the real economy. We have the rebukes of his own live policy. Make sure people see it. Are you going to be out there every day from now to Election Day?
I can't do it every day, but I'll be out there where I can be.
All right, Mark Cuban, you're welcome here any day. Thank you very much for making some time to talk to us. Great speech ahead of Harris. Thank you very much. Aisha and Angelo, I'm going to let you guys go. We're waiting for Michael Cohen, but to be continued. I think this conversation about the very direct outreach to men getting all this disinfo online is one of the big political stories of our time. Thank you both for having that with us. When we come back, the disgraced ex-president's alarming rantings about what he calls the enemy from within, something that Vice President raised today in her speech in Wisconsin. Trump is talking about his critics, his political opponents, and the people who have sought to hold him account. People like our next guest, his former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, who'll join us at the table in just 1 minute. Deadline White House continues after that quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, but he's getting his passport ready.
Hey, Scott, this stuff's perfect for fall, right? Get the feature lawn now to strengthen the roots all winter for a better lawn next spring. How do you know all this? Says it right there on the back.
Yes, it does. Download the My Lawn app today for lawn care tips and customized plans.
Feed it, lawn. Feed it.
So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking about our honeymoon. What about Africa? Safari, hot air balloon ride, swim with elephants. Wait, can we afford a safari?
Great question. Like everything, takes a little planning.
Or put the money towards a down payment?
On a ranch?
In Montana?
With horses.
Let's take a look at those scenarios.
JP Morgan Wealth Management has advisors in Chase branches and tools like Wealth Plan to help keep you on track. When you're planning for it all, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
Hi, Grandma. I played baseball today.
Oh, that's great.
What position did you play?
First base.
That's where Grandpa used to play. When our hearing wouldn't allow us to use a regular phone, it made us feel isolated.
It became difficult to communicate with our friends and family.
Clear Captions was an easy solution for us.
Clear Captions provides captions on a phone like captioning on your TV, so you can see what the caller is saying live as they say it.
Making it easy to understand and respond immediately.
There is no insurance or Medicare required. Clear Caption service is provided at no cost.
Man, but we're gonna make it's gonna try to merge here. Let's see what she does. Like, I would put the turn signal on and get over, because you got to fucking merge, so get the F over. That's something that it did not do with the previous software. It would just go straight down that road right there and wait until the last second, and it would eventually merge. But if there's a car right next to you, it would slam on the brakes. Basically drive like an idiot. Jethro could drive better than that. And you have driven better than that. I know.
Okay. You need a standard first. Check out his comments about Nancy Pelosi, or the Pelosi's in general, about Adam Schiff when he's talking about the enemy within. Look at what Mark Esper said. He wanted to shoot protesters in the legs. The man, maybe really? It's just fan, really? Yeah, really.
Did he? We had 4 years of this guy. Did he do any of this? Come on.
You're actually saying that on Fox now. Wow.
Politics is now
Genie's out of the bottle.
They're in my ear, you know.
Yeah. Cuts commercial as soon as somebody says
pets are cute.
What Trump really wanted to do.
Until they're not.
That's some bullshit, Jethro. You see the doggies?
First. And it's the same thing in other countries. So basically it's going to the spot where it has the connection. So the Federal Reserve isn't going to give money to China to get China's treasury bonds into the Federal Reserve's book. It's going to buy them effectively, or give money to get them from the banking system that it's got jurisdiction over.
But Nomi, that's now, for the first time, you've lost me a little bit. So let's take China out of the equation because it complicates it a little bit. And let's say Bob bought $1 trillion worth of bonds, because private individuals can buy them. A lot of different folks can buy treasury bonds. So to make it simple, let's say Bob or Bob Incorporated bought $1 trillion worth of treasury bonds. So why on God's green earth is the Federal Reserve not buying it from Bob, but buying it from JP Morgan Chase, that was the middleman that doesn't even own the bonds? I genuinely don't get it.
Well, when I say middleman, JP Morgan isn't buying the bonds. It's receiving the bonds from the government in its role of either deciding to keep them or to sell them onward. It can do both. It can keep them, or it can sell them on in its role as a dealer. If it keeps them, it's now on the books of JP Morgan, but they can't use those treasuries to turn them into cash unless they sell the treasuries. So now the Federal Reserve comes in and says, well, we'll give you cash and we'll take your treasuries. So they're like, okay, now they've effectively done a trade. But now the result of that trade is these banks and Bob have this money that they can then use for other purposes.
So
that's basically, it's
hang on, we're gonna move.
That allows that that transaction, that deal to happen.
But in that case, isn't JP Morgan Chase Bob because just kept the bonds? They never sold it to Bob, and so they're not being used for their role as middlemen when the Federal Reserve is buying it. They're being used because they have the treasury bonds. They're transferring over to the Federal Reserve. Do I understand that right?
Yes, that's right. But in that transaction, they're still getting effectively the cash.
I got you.
Going in the back now? Hang on, we're stopping Jethro. Hang on, bud, we're moving. So here's what, oh, never mind. I was going to say, here's where I question its strategy, because I would have put the turn signal on right about then. All in all, I think that was a pretty good drive. I would say pretty much 0 interventions, except for when I wanted to take it over. Except it still can't get in that driveway. You always gotta hit the accelerator a little bit to motivate it to move in. I think I gotta put the lucid a little bit further to the right. Yeah, I'm like it's steering, but I'm telling it to go in. Don't veer to that side. All right, bud. I'm back. You can hop out. Did you have fun? So I'm very interested to see this 360 footage of Jethro in the car, hanging out, probably howling. I was inside and I looked at dog mode on my phone at the interior cabin, and I could see his head up here and he was going, oh, big baby. Were you howling again? You're going, oh. Alright, let's go get the puppy some food. You want your dinner, Jethro? You're waiting for me? Oh, you want your balls. Oh, I see what it is you want. Yeah, you were a good boy. I'll throw your ball for you. Hang on. Since you were so patient all day, you were a good boy. Yeah. You gonna beat it up? Or you want me to kick it? I'm gonna go inside, buddy. You wanna go inside and get your dinner? No? You want more ball? Okay. You gotta bring it way closer than that. Okay, I'm going inside if you're gonna be a butthole about it. You gotta bring it closer. Alright, well, let me take some stuff in, and you let me know when you want to bring it closer. Oh, now you want to go in? You want to go in because you think you're going to get treats? Where's the treats? Chewbacca got them? This guy's got your treats. Here you go. Have fun.